All right, number 11, Tennessee at Florida. This is only a 6.5-point line. I know you hate that line.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think Tennessee will blow them out. Now, blowout, I don't mean 21 to 20. Well, I do. 21 points. With that being said, Florida has played decently. They played decent last week. However, their first week was a blowout. Loss, that is. I do think they could stick in the game a little bit, but I do think Tennessee puts it away and pretty poorly.
Okay. You say it was a blowout in week 1. They lost to Utah 24-11.
Yeah.
And then they beat McNeese State 49-7. All right, let's wash the McNeese State game because it's McNeese State. But if you want to look at that Utah game, okay, Florida was very much in that game early. They had every opportunity to take the reins on that game, and the reason they didn't is because of a missed field goal in the red zone, which again, I know that all plays into it. You can't afford to miss field goals in the red zone. But it was more disciplinary issues than anything. Again, they had a 3rd and short penalty, backed up, now you got to kick the field goal. 4th and short, backed up, again, now you got to kick the field goal, ended up missing it. So there were some things there. Both of those happened to be in the red zone as well. They also forced a 3-and-out on Utah and had 2 guys wearing the same number on the field. Utah ended up scoring on that drive. It changed the course of how that game was going to play out. I think Florida is a little bit underrated right now because of how they lost to Utah.
Yeah, but you also have to think about Cam Rising.
Yeah.
Cam Rising being out is not only big because he's really good, but we found out the disparity between the two is big.
Okay.
So
no doubt.
To me, and this is going to sound crazy, that adds 10 to 14 points to them as well.
Maybe, but let's stay on that. Cam Rising was out, okay, and I'm going to jump to Tennessee just so I can make this point. I'm going to come back.
Right.
Tennessee's given up 2.4 yards rushing on the ground. So their run defense their run defense is great right now. Well, they haven't played a Utah and Florida has. And you mentioned the point that Cam Rising's not there. Well, Florida's still holding the 2 opponents they've played below 3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So I'd say that rush defense is about the same, and I understand Tennessee's they have great guys in the wide receiver room. They have good running backs. Montrell Johnson for Florida is going to be the best running back Tennessee's played.
Yeah, I think. Well, granted, to back on my point, I can always make excuses, but here they are. Of course, McNeese State's not going to be running the ball. They are down 100 billion to 0, right? I think that helps. And then Utah as well, being in the game. One, you're not running the ball a ton. Even without your quarterback, who is a huge rushing threat, especially in close games. The problem is they're not a running team, really, and never really are, with Cam Rising without him regardless, right? So I think those numbers can be skewed, but I would also say the same for Tennessee. They haven't played anybody that really needs to be running the ball. They're dominating teams, so air it out.
That's a fair point.
I like those stats in that they will both change this game. They'll get worse. But I think that's a little cherry pick. Not by you, but I think that's that. I think we could grab another one that might have a little bit more weight come Saturday. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I on that same token, I think you would take Joe Milton over Graham Mertz 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, although he's not a slouch, but I agree.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I also would. I would take Joe Milton over Graham Mertz. But again, Joe Milton hadn't played at Utah. And we can say, yes, Cam Rising was out, but Cam Rising doesn't play defense.
No.
And Graham Mertz has over 500 passing yards in 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ask of anything more from him.
Right.
He's everything that Florida's asked him to be and more, in my opinion.
Right.
So, look, I think when you run out Graham Mertz, who's been giving you more than what you thought you would get out of him, and pair him with Montrell Johnson, this is going to be a big test for Tennessee's defense, who was, frankly, bad last year.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm with you. I do like Tennessee to win this game. I'm not going to go blowout like you were saying. I could see them covering, but barely, I think 10 to 14.
Tennessee's in an interesting boat because Hendon Hooker was a big part of their success, but they had, a godly receiving core. So with that being said, that's kind of part of it. And I don't know. I have to see it from Tennessee, kind of like I need to see it from Ohio State. Austin Peay, they put up 30 to 13. I need to see they need to dominate Florida in order for me to feel like I can catapult them back to kind of where they were last year.
Yeah.